and welcome back to another video, guys. Now, it's a pretty exciting one today. As you can tell, I am joined by a guest today. We've got Mr. Blu View here.
Hey guys, how you all doing?
And to anyone who hasn't checked him out, number one, I don't know why you haven't, because he's got a great channel, a great collection, very knowledgeable on movies. There's a link in the description to his channel, so make sure you go check it out.
Thank you.
But for today, we're going to be ranking the Star Wars films. Now, you've already done this on your channel, Blu View, but
I did this quite recently.
Yeah. You done it for May the 4th, didn't you, I think?
Yeah, I did it for May the 4th. But
I'm quite excited to do it because Star Wars is my favourite thing ever. I've loved it all my life. And I think for both of us, Star Wars goes beyond the films because, you've watched Clone Wars, haven't you?
Definitely. The Clone Wars, Rebels. Obviously, you're reading the books. I will probably start that as well. So it is, ever since I was a kid, I'm sure it's the same for you. Watching A New Hope, watching Empire Strikes Back was just amazing. And it is great to have some new movies as well. Yeah. Regardless of, I don't like some of them, but I'm still really enjoying the new films, the new series.
I think what makes Star Wars great is because it's a multimedia thing. Like as a kid, I used to love the games, and I love now that the games like Fallen Order and Battlefront, the campaign of Battlefront 2 are canon. They happen in the Star Wars universe. The novels happen, the comics happen.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great to see all the different perspectives. For example, in that Battlefront 2 campaign, you saw the perspectives of the Empire and what their reaction to the Death Star blowing up in Return of the Jedi was. I think it's great. There's so many different, books, games, whatever, just exploring the universe. And there's so much to explore, obviously. And there's probably more to come as well. And
I always try to stress to people, read the comics, read the novels, watch the Clone Wars, because I know that there are some people out there who've just seen the films, and while the films are great, some of the Clone Wars and some of the novels are better than the films.
Well, I think that the new season of Clone Wars was definitely up there with, some of the best Star Wars we've seen in a very long time. Definitely.
I think the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars, easy top 5 Star Wars things ever. Yeah.
And The Mandalorian as well. I think everyone loved The Mandalorian as well. So we've had some great stars recently. We've also had some bummers as well, but I think we've also had some really good stuff.
Definitely. So we're going to be ranking all the 11 films. So that's episode 1 to 9, Solo and Rogue One. We're going to go from our least favourite to our favourite, and I'm going to let you start, Blu View.
At number 11, we have the second movie in the prequels, and that is Attack of the Clones. Now, I think it's safe to say this is the only Star Wars film that I kind of don't like. I don't think it has any redeeming qualities, really. I think, as cool as Jango Fett is, he's in the movie for about 5 minutes and get killed off in kind of a lame way. And same with Boba Fett as well. But I just don't think this movie did anything for me. I thought the CGI, especially the droid factory stuff, I thought it was just borderline ridiculous. The movie does not feel like Star Wars, and for me, it's just easily the worst Star Wars film. I think enough has been said about this one. I think the romance, I think everyone agrees that that was not needed. The score was really good. I'll give it that. The Padme Anakin's score was amazing. It's one of the best, things that came with the prequels in terms of music. But yeah, I really don't like Attack of the Clones. I watched it recently with my dad, and we both had the same reaction. It just doesn't feel like Star Wars, and it's probably the only movie that, to me, that really just doesn't have any redeeming qualities. I don't like Attack of the Clones.
That's fair. Well, I'll save my opinions for when I talk about it. But the one thing I always try to look at because I'll admit the CGI is pretty rough at times in that film. There are some bits that are okay. Yeah, definitely. But some of the stuff, it's the first fully HD movie. So I kind of give George Lucas a bit of a pass on it, I suppose, because he was really, really pushing himself to do something pretty extraordinary there. Yeah. Unfortunately, you need a great story as well.
Yeah, I think the ending to me as well also felt very rushed. I think Count Dooku was great. I really love Count Dooku, but again, just underutilized, just like Darth Maul and Phantom Menace. Just wasn't used enough. And we've seen in the Clone Wars that Darth Maul is blooming awesome. But in the films, George Lucas just didn't want to seem to explore the Siths and wanted to focus more on the Anakin Obi-Wan thing and all the romance. I just thought he should have given more time to the Siths. He could have done some more with Count Dooku and Darth Maul, and that would have made both the Phantom Menace and also Attack of the Clones much better, in my opinion.
It's one of those things where I've always said, Maul, Dooku, and Grievous, you might not appreciate them much in the films, but they're expanded upon really well in, again, Clone Wars novels. But the films themselves, unfortunately, they just kept shooting themselves in the foot by having a new villain for each one.
Yeah, that's what I agree. I definitely agree with that. And then you had the sort of, you would there were loads of sub villains as well, but I think there were too many villains, and each movie introduced like 2 more people not to like, and I just think it was all a bit rushed, and it didn't feel planned to me. But yeah, I love Darth Maul, and I love what's his name as Count Dooku. Who is it?
Mm-hmm.
Christopher.
Oh, Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee. Yeah, Christopher Lee as Count Dooku was great. But overall, they just felt rushed to me. It just didn't work for me at all in Attack of the Clones. Yeah, but the lightsaber duel between Yoda and Count Dooku at the end that is probably a redeeming quality. Actually, that's the only thing about the movie I love. That lightsaber duel is amazing.
I actually found that funny because Yoda wobbles into the room with his stick, and all of a sudden he's flipping.
Yeah.
But no, it's I'll save my opinions for that one in a minute because I'll get to that one soon. Although I'm not putting that one last place.
I think I know what you're putting last.
This is the only Star Wars film I dislike, and when I say I dislike it, I borderline hate this movie.
Yeah, I know.
The Rise of Skywalker. This film is trash. This film is straight up garbage. It pays no respect to the Star Wars lore. The way there's no development of characters. It's
there's not.
Hilariously bad, and it's not well made at all. There are 45 minutes of this film that were cut out. You can tell because the film is choppy. It moves at such a pace.
Very choppy. Yeah.
It's just embarrassing. The last film, The Last Jedi, set up, just an example, set up that tracking through hyperspace is just nearly impossible to do. They had to use their massive Star Destroyer, Snoke's huge one, to do it. And right at the start of the film, TIE fighters are doing it.
I know, yeah, it was ridiculous, the movie. As you said, I'll save my opinions for it later, but it's so messy. It's so rushed.
So much Star Wars lore. Like, how are half of these characters able to talk at the end when Rey's, when you hear, like, the voices? Windu, for a fact, I know, could not preserve his spirit in the Force.
It's just fan service, though. So that was fan service completely. And it won some people over as well. It did work for some people who, I don't want to be rude, but I think the people who like this film are a bit gullible. They kind of fall into the trap of fan service equals good.
I don't want to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Who likes it and who doesn't? Because I respect that people are going to like this film.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not going to say anything bad against them for liking this film. If they like it, that's fair enough. Yeah. I'm pleased you like it. But for me, this film isn't Star Wars. It's just not. None of the lore makes sense. And I know that the lore in The Last Jedi doesn't 100% make sense either.
Yeah, of course.
But it makes more sense in this one because it took stuff from Legends, at least, in The Last Jedi. So it's stuff that has been created. This is just making stuff up on the spot.
Yeah, it is.
Hilariously bad. Like, they say that the Holdo maneuver is 1 in a million. It's like, what was she doing in The Last Jedi then? Was she trying to flip? She accidentally hit shit? It's just laughably bad. Some of the humour in it is awful.
Was there much humour? There wasn't much humour. I mean, compared to The Last Jedi, there wasn't much humour at all.
The humour in the sequels in general has been pretty bad. The Force Awakens was okay. But and how was the Emperor back? I know they've explained it in the novel, but the novel...
Apparently he's a clone. Apparently, because they obviously brought out the novel to try to kind of, I don't know, just make up for the fact that the Emperor shouldn't be back, and it destroys the whole Skywalker thing, really, doesn't it?
They were trying to do damage control, and they were making it worse with the novel.
Yeah, agreed.
I hate this film. I wish it didn't exist. I apologise to the people who like this film, but I think it's I think it is straight up terrible.
Well, talking of The Rise of Skywalker, my number 10 is The Rise of Skywalker, and I don't think I hate it as much as you. I actually gave it a really positive review after I watched it. I don't know if you've seen that, but I regret making that video now because this film is really bad. I've watched it 3 times, once in the cinema, 2 times at home, once on Disney Plus, and once I just streamed it online. Yeah. This film is pretty terrible. I think the only reason I have a soft spot, maybe a tiny soft spot for it, is the fan service. I enjoy hearing, Liam Neeson's voice again, things like that. But the film makes no sense. I mean, I guess it was doing, it was trying to make up for since most people thought The Last Jedi was bad, it was trying to make up for that. But it just didn't work at all. As you said, Emperor Palpatine coming back was one of the worst things that has happened in cinema history. The film didn't look that great in my opinion. I think The Last Jedi looks way better than this movie. And this movie really does bring up the point that Disney just don't understand lightsabers. I don't know if you noticed, but in the duel on the Death Star, for some reason, I felt like Rey was struggling to hold the lightsaber. It was so heavy, and Disney have made the lightsabers look so clunky. Yet they're meant to look light. I don't understand that. Yeah, this film is really bad. I think I'll just say again, everything you said. I agree with most things you said. Apart from, I don't think it's an absolutely terrible movie. I think the ending, the Rey Skywalker thing was ridiculous. It was terrible. It was cringy, and I just wasn't very excited for the movie. I remember seeing the posters, and I was like, I'm really not sure about this. I remember hearing Palpatine was coming back in the first trailer. I knew from there it was going to be a strange movie, but in the cinema, it's a really bad film. And I can understand why people like it, but for me, it didn't do anything. Yeah, it's bad.
It's one of the worst experiences I've had at the cinema. I want to touch on that because I remember I went midnight. I was excited. I fell for the trailers. The trailers I thought were really good. I was sitting there pumped, and I've never felt like this for a film in general. I was sitting there, and as the film was going on, my head was just getting lower and lower. It was just
I can see why. The film is just so fast paced, and my mum actually watched it. We watched it as a family because we always do with Star Wars. But my mum isn't a huge Star Wars fan like me, and I remember I was looking at her in the film, and obviously it's one of the most fast paced films I've seen in my life, and I feel like she was catching her breath. It was so quick. It went from one scene to another scene to another scene to another scene. There was no emotion because whenever there was emotion, you just cut to another scene of like a stormtrooper making a cringy joke.
Yeah.
And it just jumping between scenes. There was no emotion. I didn't care about any of the characters. I really was hoping they would do more with Finn in this film, but he was just screaming Rey for the whole trilogy. And it's so sad because in The Force Awakens, I was so interested in Finn, yet he went nowhere. Poe was just a wannabe Han Solo. I thought Leia, they handled it as best as they could. There wasn't much they could do really, but Kylo Ren, I think, is the best thing about this movie in the new trilogy. He was a bit interesting, but as you said, this movie is really bad. It didn't work for me at all. It didn't work for me at all. And it's a joke of a conclusion to one of the best sagas ever.
It's not the end in my book. I know that.
No, it's not.
I know it's canon, but in my head, it's not. In my head, the sequels are not canon because of what this film did. I choose to ignore it. Even though I like the other two sequel films, but because of this one, I'm choosing to ignore it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So my number 10 is Attack of the Clones.
So quite similar.
I don't dislike this film though. I'd say it's average. I grew up with this film though. I really enjoyed the start of it, the chase through Coruscant.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
Cool.
That's a good scene.
And I really enjoyed the last half hour. I really loved the big battle on Geonosis. I'm a sucker for that. I grew up with it when I was a kid. I'm seeing Jedi lightsabers pop up everywhere.
Yeah, that was cool.
I was like, yeah, this is great. Love Count Dooku. Again, I didn't love Count Dooku as a kid, but after reading some of the novels and watching the Clone Wars, I've come to appreciate this character a lot. My next novel up that I'm going to read, I forget what it's called. I've got it saved on my Audible. It's like how he turns to the dark side and stuff. So it's just making me grow to love this character more, and I appreciate him more. I know that the film itself should have done that. I understand.
Yeah,
that,
definitely.
But anyway, it didn't. But I can now respect the character because of these other media formats. But I like the film. There's a whole middle section of the film though, which is just not great.
Is that the romance, you mean?
Yeah. Basically, all the stuff with Padme.
I think we can agree that this movie features the worst line in Star Wars history in the sand line. I think we can both agree in that. That is, it's one of my favorite Star Wars lines, just for the fact for how bad it is.
Some of the lines in these first three prequels are so bad they're brilliant.
I
use the sand line, the hello there. I'll try spinning. That's a good trick. I use these lines on a daily basis when talking about.
They're so bad, they're good. I think they are so bad, they're good.
They're secretly brilliant.
Yeah.
But anyway, Attack of the Clones. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's that good. It's just somewhere right in the middle for me.
Yeah, I can see why. I think there was so much to do in this movie, and we can see in the Clone Wars series how much personality the clones have, then all the Jedi. And I think cramming that all into a film was going to be hard, and I probably think he did the best job he could. It was always going to be a messy movie, and, coming off the back of The Phantom Menace, I think a lot of people weren't looking forward to it, but in my opinion, it is the worst Star Wars movie, and I can see why you would enjoy it. The lightsaber battle at the end is cool, but for me, it just didn't work as a film. And I probably would, I don't know if it's better than The Rise of Skywalker. Those two are just kind of in that section, I just don't like them at all.
I think it's technically a better film than The Rise of Skywalker. pacing wise, because I don't feel like I'm out of breath and I'm missing things. The film
the
isn't
pacing's
missing
better.
anything. You know the main characters, you understand their purpose. You understand where Dooku's come from. You know, they say that he's an old Jedi. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
At least they don't say, oh, look, here's Darth Maul back from the dead randomly. I know he comes back in the TV series, but they explain it. But, you know, it wouldn't be like, hey, it's Darth Maul, no explanation.
No, definitely. Yeah.
But,
so should we go on to my number? Is it number 9?
Yes.
My number 9 is The Last Jedi. Now, I don't actually dislike The Last Jedi like loads of people do. I think it's got some bad scenes. I think Rose was a terrible character. Not as bad as people say. Nowhere near as bad as Jar Jar Binks.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't dislike The Last Jedi. I think the crate scene is easily one of my favourite scenes in the prequels. But there's just sections of this movie that make no sense to me. But I think the whole the whole Finn Rose thing didn't work. But I think the whole thing between Ben and Rey really worked for me. I thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It developed both their characters. I thought Luke's death was done possibly the best way it could have been. I thought it was beautiful to watch, you know, the music playing over. I probably would say it was a mistake bringing Rian Johnson in, since you had The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens were tonally completely different. The Last Jedi had much more comedy in it. Did the comedy work? I don't know. I don't think it did. I think they ruined Hux's character for the comedy, which was a bit annoying.
Yeah, completely agree.
But I think bringing Rian Johnson was a mistake. Was the film bad? It wasn't bad at all, and I don't understand hate for it. And I think a lot of people make the excuse of The Rise of Skywalker was bad because of The Last Jedi, and I completely disagree with that. This movie left so much open, so much could have been done in The Rise of Skywalker, yet what we got was a really lazy movie. But this movie was the opposite of lazy. And I think a really funny thing that I realised when watching the movie and seeing the responses of the fans, you know, the fans say, for The Force Awakens, oh, this is too similar to A New Hope, we need something new. Rian Johnson comes in, brings something completely new, and then the fans don't like it. I think the dislike for this movie is something to do with the fans as well, not wanting something new, yet not wanting something similar, and the directors being like, what do we do? You know, what do they like? But yeah, I enjoy The Last Jedi. I really enjoy it. It's in my opinion, the best looking Star Wars film. I think Crate is the best looking Star Wars scene ever. You know, the reds and the whites are just beautiful. Yeah, really great film. I really enjoy it.
Oh, nice. Well, I'll save my comments when I talk about it, but we're not too far off on that one. I'll say that.
No.
My number 9. And I just want to say from this point on, I actually really enjoy every Star Wars film.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I should say.
It's just The Rise of Skywalker I don't like, and then Attack of the Clones is the middle. Every other Star Wars film I like.
Yeah, agreed.
But I'm going to put as number 9, Solo. I like Solo. It's really fun. But is it super necessary? No. Is it super memorable? Yeah. No. Does it impact the other films much? No. It's just there. It's good. It's a fun time. I don't have anything bad to say about it, to be honest, because it's just so innocent. There's nothing great though either. There's a couple shots which are nice. I like the Darth Maul surprise at the end.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
But I don't think there's anything that I would scream about it, if you know what I mean. I guess the casting's good for, you know, young Han Solo and young Lando. But yeah, I don't really have much to say on it, which is why I've put it this low, I think.
Yeah, I think we can all agree it's the most unnecessary Star Wars movie. But as you said, it's such an innocent film. It doesn't do anything wrong. It doesn't do anything that, you know, it doesn't take any risks. So there's really not much to say about it. Apart from that, when I went to the cinema, I just had so much fun. Like, I enjoyed every scene. It's such a fun movie.
Because of the director swap as well, it turned out a lot better than I imagined it would. So yeah, that's all I really have to say on Solo. It's a good film.
Yeah, I think most people either like us think it's a really enjoyable movie or really hate it. I don't understand how you could hate this film. It didn't take any risks. I think I'll talk more about it when I talk about Solo. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy Solo, and I think it's probably one of the best things we've got out of Disney. I really do.
Yeah.
Should I go on to my number? Is it number 8?
Yes.
Number 8, I've got The Phantom Menace. Now this, I don't know if you've seen my Star Wars ranking I did 3 months ago. This is my least favorite Star Wars film. I watched the prequels with my dad again, and I watched The Phantom Menace, and I actually really enjoyed it. I think this is a really enjoyable movie. I think Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn was just Qui-Gon was amazing. I thought Ewan McGregor in this movie probably gave his worst performance in the prequels, but still was fine. I thought Darth Maul was really great. He was underutilized, but it's, you know, we see loads of him in the Clone Wars, so I've kind of stopped saying that. But yeah, the fights at the end between Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul is always going to be one of my favorite Star Wars scenes. The Duel of the Fates is just sitting through the whole movie. It's just worth watching that 5 minutes of utter brilliance from George Lucas. And I really enjoy this movie. I think Jar Jar Binks is the worst Star Wars character ever, but I don't hate Jar Jar Binks that much. I'm quite an innocent character. She's really annoying, or whatever. He's really annoying, but I don't really mind. And I think the underwater scenes were really bad. The CGI in this movie is bad. But again, I don't really have much bad to say about the film apart from that. It's quite slow. It can be considered quite boring, but you got the pod racing scenes great. Obviously, the lightsaber duel at the end scene. You've got the short duel between Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul during the movie. Yeah, I thought the film was fine. I don't really have much to say about it. It's just an enjoyable movie. It was a fine start to the prequels. And if I saw it on opening day, I would have probably been let down. But at the same time, I would have said it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse in this film.
Well, my number 8 is also Phantom Menace. So we agree on that one.
Well, Christopher Nolan, we were quite different, but we seem to be quite similar with Star Wars.
I think most people sort of line up on Star Wars, really. It's kind of easy to tell the good ones from the bad ones.
Well, you're saying that. I don't think they do. A lot of people, we think The Rise of Skywalker is the best movie. So,
to be fair, I think that it's because that film's still fresh. Some people have not accepted yet that it's not a well-made movie. Anyway, I need to get off Rise of Skywalker because I can just bash that film all day. Phantom Menace, I grew up with this film. This is one of my childhood movies. I'll say that about all 3 of the prequels. But I grew up as a kid. I loved Darth Maul. I loved watching him fight Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I think Qui-Gon is such an underrated Star Wars character.
He is.
And I love the fact that Liam Neeson's playing him. He does it so well. And I like the fact they tried to keep him around in Star Wars by, in Revenge of the Sith, Yoda basically says that he's managed to preserve not his body, because obviously he can't Force Ghost appear, but you can hear Liam Neeson's voice every now and then.
Yeah.
So they're able to keep Qui-Gon somewhat involved in the Star Wars universe after the Phantom Menace. But yeah, I think it's really cool. I just like a lot of the characters. I know that they're all very wooden in terms of how they're acted.
Yeah.
But, you've got some interesting dynamics in this film. It sets up a really great Star Wars universe before the times of the Empire. It's got some interesting characters in it. I just enjoy this film. It's one of my favourites from when I was a kid growing up.
Yeah, I think as a kid, I loved the prequels. And then as you grow up, you kind of realise, not how bad they are, but you realise the mistakes. But for me, I just quite tried to keep the mindset that the movie wasn't trying to do much, and it's just enjoyable. And I just have I enjoy just getting a bowl of popcorn, a can of Coke, and just sitting down watching the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy it. I don't find it boring like loads of people do. I just enjoy it. I think it's a really enjoyable movie.
Yeah, I mean, the film isn't without its problems. Obviously, there are some moments where the eye's a bit rocky, mostly on alien characters, I noticed.
Yeah.
Because the droids actually look pretty decent, and
no,
some
they do.
look good. The dialogue, of course, are you an angel? It's not great.
As we've already said, though, I think it's a great line just for how bad it is and how memorable it is as well.
Yeah, it's that's the thing with these prequel films. Some of the lines are so terrible that they're just genius. But the Phantom Menace, it is what it is, and I think it's fun.
Yeah, it is. So my number 7 is, I think, your number 8 or number 9. It's Solo. Now, I think I don't want to just repeat everything you said, because literally what you said is what I feel about this movie. It's enjoyable. The Darth Maul bit at the end, I was really surprised. Did he need to pull out his lightsaber? No. Was it good to see? Yes. It's a really enjoyable movie. I thought the casting was great. I think Woody Harrelson was probably the highlight. It was really great seeing him in a Star Wars movie, and also Lando and Han Solo. I thought the casting was fine. I think considering the production this movie had, what we got was really, really, really good. I think Ron Howard pulled the strings together and gave us a really enjoyable Star Wars movie. It's the most unneeded Star Wars film we have. It's even probably more unneeded than the sequels. It does nothing apart from the Chewbacca, how Han found Chewbacca. I thought that was great. I thought how Han Solo got his name it was cool as well. I think probably the funniest thing about this film was we got the trailer. I don't know if you remember seeing it, but it get left on the cliffhanger of Chewbacca on the train, and he was about to die. And I had no clue why they did that, because everyone knew he was going to live. But they, for some reason, left that in the trailer. But yeah, it's a really enjoyable movie. Without it, I probably wouldn't feel any differently. But in the cinema, I remember watching it, and I was like, coming out, I was like, that was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed that. It's got a decent soundtrack. It is probably the worst looking Star Wars film we've got, in my opinion, though. That's my one big thing about it. And the CGI is good, but the colouring was terrible. Yeah. And that's the main reason it's lower, because it was such a dark movie. I didn't really understand why. In some of the shots, I was struggling to see their faces, and I thought that was the main flaw I had with the film. But apart from that, it's a really enjoyable film.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie, because I remember going into it ready for it not to be good because of the troubles they had behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. I just thought it was super fun.
Yeah, it was. And I think the critics were similar to me as well. It's on like a 70% of Rotten Tomatoes. That's probably what I'd give it. And I think this is probably the only Disney movie that the fans seem to be quite similar on, for the fact that everyone was like, it's disposable but fun. I think most people thought that.
Yeah, I get that. Well, my number 7 is the controversial Last Jedi. I can never. I try to defend this film because I do see the bad in it. I do.
Yeah, of course. I think we all do.
Whenever I seem to defend this film now, people just want to throw the Rise of Skywalker in my face. Like, oh, it's not as bad as that. But to me, I prefer The Last Jedi because...
No, definitely, I do as well.
It's paced and the film is structured better. It's not moving at 100 miles per hour. You can tell that things haven't been left on the cutting floor.
Yeah, of course,
Everything flows. So in terms of movie making and storytelling, even though there ain't a great story here, it's so much better, and that bit is obviously true. In terms of breaking the lore and stuff of Star Wars, which these sequels have loved doing, especially these later 2 films, I think The Rise of Skywalker did it much worse because it was just making stuff up on the spot.
Yeah, no.
This one, it does some really far-fetched things for Star Wars lore, like Luke projecting himself across the galaxy. Yeah. However, I have the book up there, The Jedi Path, which is now Legends. It was a thing before Disney bought it. They just got rid of it.
I think it's important also to just take into consideration, not a go at you, but there's a lot of fans who, really gripe the movies, the new sequels. And as much as I don't dislike the sequels, I don't love them. I really only like The Force Awakens out of all of them. Yeah. But it is Star Wars, and I think we do need to give it a chance. But obviously The Rise of Skywalker went way too far. But I think The Last Jedi, as you said, broke the laws of Star Wars, but it didn't do it too much. And for me, it was fine. I didn't notice it in the cinema. And a non-Star Wars fan would not notice it at all.
I think what it done is because it picks from Legends, but what Rian Johnson done, and I love Rian Johnson. I think he's a great filmmaker.
Yeah, he is.
But he picked some of the really far-fetched false abilities from Legends, like the projecting your body across the galaxy. It's a really far-fetched thing, so I see why people weren't happy, but that technically wasn't. It was Rian Johnson's decision to put it in, yes, but it's not something he made up. The Canto Bight stuff is a bit pointless. I don't hate it as much as some people. This film has pretty terrible humour.
The humour's terrible. I think that everything with Hux it destroyed Hux's character.
I 100% blame Rian Johnson for Hux being destroyed, like his character being ruined. I mean, The Rise of Skywalker just didn't even bother redeeming him. They just chucked him out.
In all fairness, I don't think they could have redeemed him after this movie, and I think that was a huge mistake from Rian Johnson, because in the Force Awakens, he was a scary guy, and in this movie, he was just being pushed around. He was being dragged on the floor. He was being trolled on the phone. It was bad. I don't know why he just decided to ruin his character. Really. No, I didn't get that.
There was a few things which I didn't like. I didn't really like Leia floating through space. I wasn't against the fact that she could survive, because it had already been hinted at majorly in like the Force Awakens novelization that Leia had false abilities. It's just the way it was filmed. It looked really cheesy.
Oh yeah, it looked really bad.
I don't hate what they done with Luke. And I don't know why everyone blames Rian Johnson, because it was JJ who put him on the island, and it was JJ who made Han Solo say Luke ran away, Luke vanished after Kylo destroyed his Jedi.
Yeah, I do still think he had a bitterness about him that, for a lot of people who grew up with the originals, wasn't needed, and I didn't understand why he was so miserable.
No,
and I think
fair.
Throwing the lightsaber thing, I think, was a huge mistake.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
I don't know why that happened, but I think, as you said, the Canto Bight stuff, wasn't needed, but a lot of stuff in the Star Wars films isn't needed. The scene for me didn't work, but I didn't hate it. I was in the cinema.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about it that much. It wasn't needed at all. It was like a little short movie. It felt like a little short film in the film, but it wasn't that bad. I don't really understand the hate for this movie. I don't know if you feel the same as me, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It looks amazing.
I had a great time in the cinema, and I'll stick
same,
that.
yeah.
I love the Snoke twist. I still think that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think this film's great. It has its problems. But in terms of filmmaking, the cinematography is stunning. The score is great.
Yeah, definitely.
In my mind, there's no doubt, because I know I'm going to get comments on this video about it, but in my mind, there's no doubt it's better than The Rise of Skywalker.
No, it is. It is by a country mile. And it's probably a better movie than The Phantom Menace, but for me, I said in my Star Wars list before, my 2 past Star Wars lists, that I have a lot of problems with the movie. But I think if there's one word I can describe The Last Jedi as, it is refreshing. It was we'd never seen anything like it before, and we'd had The Force Awakens, which was a complete rehash of A New Hope. And it was really nice to see a director, playing with the biggest franchise in the world and, taking a gamble rather than just giving us fan service, rather than giving us Darth Vader's voice like The Rise of Skywalker did. It was an ambitious movie, and I can see why it didn't work, but I don't understand the hate for it. It has some terrible characters. I think Rose is one of the worst Star Wars characters. She was really dry. But as you said, it looks amazing. The score was so good. And I think the Snoke death twist was clever, like subverting our expectations. I think it would have been cool if he did turn out to be Darth Plagueis. I think that would have been really cool. But the subverting expectations thing, it was clever. It was clever, and he certainly did that, because when he died, I had no clue that was going to happen.
Yeah, no, same.
Yeah, that was really clever. That was really clever.
Yeah, the film took risks. Not all of them paid off, but I respect it for doing it, at least, not just giving
of course, yeah. The movie had hardly any fan service. I don't remember one scene where there was really any fan service, and that was refreshing. That was really refreshing for me. But it was a mistake bringing in Rian Johnson. I think if J.J. Abrams did the whole trilogy, The Rise of Skywalker would have been completely different, and it wouldn't have been rushed at all.
It's one of those things where, I should save it for when I talk about The Force Awakens, but problems started there because they didn't plan a trilogy. That's really where everything went wrong.
That's everything. That's everything. And I don't know if Disney realised what they did, but I don't understand rebooting a Star Wars franchise why you wouldn't plan the trilogy, or at least have a brief outline of what was going to happen, because you could sense in The Rise of Skywalker they were just bringing characters in. They were just, throwing everything around. And The Last Jedi was at fault. It didn't feel like a planned movie. It was completely inconsistent in tone compared to The Force Awakens. The tone was completely different. And I do enjoy the 2 movies, but the tone was a problem with The Last Jedi, because it was so inconsistent. They felt like 2 different films from a different trilogy.
No, you're right. All 3 of them feel just too different. Whereas the prequels, it's held out by the same.
Yeah, definitely.
Same with the originals. The sequels, they all feel vastly different.
They do, yeah. I think last thing about The Last Jedi is, I think there's one thing that for me was hugely disappointing, was Admiral Akbar's death. I don't know if you realised it, but he was literally in the background dying. I don't know why he was such a minor death. He should have been a big deal, because he's one of the best Star Wars characters in my opinion. He's so funny. And he just died in the background. I don't know why that was.
Honestly, it doesn't bother me much, because he only had a couple lines in the original.
No, but I mean, he is one of the best lines ever. So, I mean, it's a trap. That's one of the best Star Wars lines. So, I mean, I guess it's fine, him dying, but it would have been nice to see him do something before he died, but yeah. And also the pink-haired lady, Laura Dern, General Holdo. Holdo, she was, that was bad.
Yeah, that was just...
Should we go on to my number?
Yeah, we need to get off these sequels. Let's get out.
Yeah. Number 6 is The Force Awakens. I think most people agree this is the best of the sequel trilogy.
Yes.
And remember, this is my most watched movie at a cinema. I think everyone loved it. Kylo Ren was menacing. The whole First Order was menacing. Rey was a Mary Sue at the end. It was a bit ridiculous how she beat Kylo Ren with him being trained under Luke. She was a bit of a Mary Sue, but I give it a chance.
I saw a video on this, and Kylo Ren
I've seen the same video.
Had just been hit by Chewie's bone.
Yeah. He'd been bleeding, which basically did mean that he was in huge pain. But still, Rey was so skilled with the lightsaber, and she hadn't had any training. But that's my real only gripe with the film. I think everything else works. I think the First Order is great. I think the Resistance is great. I think Rey, Finn, Poe, Chewbacca. I thought the way they dealt with Han's death was really good. I also watched a video recently basically saying how this movie, I think it was Ben Shapiro, I don't know if you've heard of him, but was basically saying how the whole Han Solo thing was terrible. Because in the original trilogy, he went from being, a lone ranger and then he joined the Rebel Alliance, and he was a team player. And The Force Awakens kind of brought him back to being a lone ranger, and I think that was a bit of a mistake. But really, apart from that, the movie didn't do anything wrong. I had a great time with the Force Awakens. It's really enjoyable. It is a complete rehash of A New Hope.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's. I mean, I'll just say it, my number 6 is also The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
My only issue with it is that the story is very similar to A New Hope. However, the thing with that is that they were trying to bring fans back because they were obviously still mad about the prequels at this time. So they were just trying to give fans reassurance that it was going to feel more like the originals. So I kind of get why they done it. It's a fun film. It's visually stunning. The characters are set up so well. It's a shame that
it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. Finn was so interesting. A stormtrooper gone good. Never seen that before. And then he just went nowhere. He went nowhere.
Same with all of them, though, I think. Like, literally, some of them carried on through The Last Jedi, getting good treatment. Some didn't. But by The Rise of Skywalker, Disney didn't care about these characters.
I don't. It was terrible. I think Kylo Ren was really the only character that had an arc. Everyone else
I hated what they done with him in the last one. So it's just like, again, I just don't really care about these characters anymore.
It is true. I think there was nothing done with him. Finn, nothing. Rose was in it for two scenes. It's disrespectful to her character because you can't just have a main character and then put into The Rise of Skywalker and give him 2 scenes. It just as bad of a character as she was, you can't do that. And anyway, let's stop talking about the last Rise of Skywalker. But I think everyone really enjoys The Force Awakens. It's a really enjoyable film.
Yeah, it's a really good film. As I say, it's just sad watching it now because you know that these characters aren't really going anywhere. But for what it was at the time, it was an enjoyable film, visually stunning. The score was great. The pacing was great. Everything about it was good. I loved all the new alien designs. I love like BB-8, really cool, great design. So it's. I almost feel sad talking about this film because of the potential.
It is really sad because it's set up so much and then there was no payoff. But we still can't. I still always watch it and enjoy it. It's just such an enjoyable movie, and my dad loves it, my brother loves it, my mum loves it. It's just such an enjoyable movie. It's just so sad that it went nowhere. So have you gone on to your number 6? Or
that was my number 6 as well.
Yeah, so I think we both kind of talked about it. Yeah. So we'll go on to my number 5, and you're probably going to never talk to me again because of this. But we've got A New Hope. Now I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to all the Star Wars fans. It's such a good film, A New Hope, and it set up the best franchise in existence. I love A New Hope. I love all the characters in it. I love the score. The vision from George Lucas is just phenomenal. But I do think it's the weakest in the original trilogy.
No.
I think it is. I think it is. Again, I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's not a masterpiece, but I think it is just such an incredible movie. And considering when it was made, it is just so much better than loads of these sci-fi crap we get now. But it's just. I can't really say anything that's not already been said. It's a great film. It's, in my opinion, the 5th best Star Wars movie, and I think that's the only really movie on my list that's going to make a shock because loads of people could think this is the best. But I love A New Hope. I think Princess Leia, Luke, Han Solo is great, but it is my least favorite in the original trilogy.
That's fair enough. That's fair. Well, I'll just save most of my opinions when I talk about that one. My number 5 is the other Star Wars spin-off. I'm putting Rogue One at number 5. Now,
I think we're going to start differing now. I think we're going to start differing in our opinions now.
I think this is hands down the best movie Disney have put out.
Definitely.
This film, because some people say the first act, or some people even say the first 2 acts are kind of boring. I don't get that. I went into the cinema. I had a great time through the first 2 acts. My issue with this film, I have 2 issues. One is the characters. Cassian and Jyn Erso, they're fine. K2SO is fine. but like I can't even remember the name of them, and I'm pretty good with Star Wars characters. But like you had the guy with the stick and the guy with the big gun,
and the Imperial guy as well.
Yeah,
with the goggles.
Yeah, the pipe. Is it? Can't remember his name. Brokey or something like that.
Brody, I think Brody.
Again, their characters were just. I mean, the pilot was okay, but the other two, did they need to be there? I don't know if they did.
Well, I'll talk more about it when I get into my
bit
on Rogue One.
I think you can tell where they done some of the reshots. I think you can tell by the way they did. However, the last half hour is some of the best Star Wars ever, period.
It is. I think the Darth Vader scene at the end is...
Oh, well, that's just incredible.
It is just beautiful. Just beautiful. It's beautiful.
Scarif is such a cool planet. I love Ben Mendelsohn as Director Krennic. Director Krennic is such a good villain.
Mads Mikkelsen as well was really good, I thought. Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, he was good. I really just enjoy this film. It's great. I love the fact that they took the big plot hole from the original film and went, not a plot hole anymore.
Yeah. What did you think of the CGI Leia and Tarkin?
Tarkin I liked. I thought Tarkin looks really good. I love the actor they picked as well. I can't think of his name, but I think most people know him from Harry Potter. Leia was the one that was a bit... It looked a bit...
Yeah. I mean, it's hard though, isn't it? But I think you had to... I mean, did you have to have her in it? I don't really know. I think Tarkin was great, but did we need Leia? Did we need to see her?
Yeah, I don't know, because it's obvious Leia was on that ship because of, we know from the original film that Leia's on that ship.
Yeah, of course, the Tantive 4.
Yeah, so I don't know, and Tarkin obviously is, huge in the Empire. He's pretty much running the Empire.
Yeah, no, of course.
Up to A New Hope. So I feel like he had to have a presence in the film.
No, yeah, he did. He was so horrible, wasn't he? I think it was great how horribly he was portrayed. He's such a vile man. I think that was really good.
I love Tarkin. He almost reminds me a bit like Tywin Lannister, where they're just so powerful and so greedy with power.
So bitter.
Yeah, no one can touch him, and I love that.
Yeah, I understand. I think it's great to have an Imperial leader who is not a Jedi. I don't think we ever saw him carrying a gun. Yeah, he's so powerful. Yeah, he is such a strong presence. I think that is it's just great, and he's such a great character, and just shows why the original trilogy is just so good.
Yeah.
So should we go into my number 4?
Yes.
My number 4 is Revenge of the Sith. I just adore this film from the start to finish. It is so good. It features some horrible dialogue, but I think as the movie goes on, that kind of goes. But there is still some bad dialogue. Hayden Christensen is still questionable as Anakin. I think his acting isn't the best, but towards the end, he's really good. Ewan McGregor, though, at the end is pure brilliance. I think General Grievous was cool. Count Dooku was cool. I thought how Darth Vader was formed was really great. The Phasma Mustafar is easily one of my favorite Star Wars scenes ever. This movie also features my favorite Star Wars score. I think the score for this film was beautiful. I think the Anakin's betrayal scene, seeing Cuddy Mundi, all the Jedi die was great. Palpatine, Ian McDiarmid, you can't go wrong with Ian McDiarmid. This film was just great, and it's easily the best in the prequels. I think everyone agrees that. But yeah, just as the film goes on, it just gets better and better and better. And it just ties into A New Hope and Rogue One so well.
Yeah.
It really does.
I'm gonna save my comments for Revenge of the Sith when I talk about it, but all I'll say is Revenge of the Sith is like my biggest guilty pleasure movie ever. I don't
even think it should be a guilty pleasure. Why should it be a guilty pleasure? I don't understand it. It's great. It's so good.
It's a very special film to me. That's the first Star Wars film I saw in the cinema, so I hold that film to a very high.
What was the experience like? Were the fans happy or?
Well, to be honest, I was still very young. What was it? 2005 the film came out.
Yeah.
I was only 7 or 8, so I don't.
What was it like watching a movie be 7? Because I would have been a bit scared. I don't know. The ending scenes were quite.
I'd already seen the original 3 films at home. Because my dad loved Star Wars, he'd show me the original. Yeah. He showed me the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I'd watched I'd watched all of them about 1,000 times. Yeah. I remember as a kid just seeing the big Star Wars, come up on the screen.
Oh, it's great.
As a kid, like 7 years old, I was amazed. So, and then as a kid, you see the Battle of Coruscant, you see a giant robot whip out 4 lightsabers, you're like, this is just
great. Oh yeah, it's just you go from 2 movies with not much action, and that's fine, to a movie with just non-stop action, but it still felt well paced for me. I don't think the pacing was a problem at all. It was really fast paced, but it didn't feel like it was rushed at all. I think every scene was earned.
Yeah.
I think the ending dialogue between Hayden Christensen, once he's, burning on Mustafar, and then Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, I thought that dialogue was great. Like, the sort of, you, my brother, you have said to join the Senate, not join them. I just thought that was great. Yeah. It's emotional, the ending. I always, starting to tear up at the end of it. Because obviously you've seen, Plo Koon, Kit Fisto in the Clone Wars so much, and seeing how great Jedi they are, and just seeing them murdered so easily was so horrible to watch. It was terrible. It was really bad. It was,
I know a lot of people slag it off. They're like, oh, the Jedi died too quick, but it's like, they really do tell you that the Jedi are blind and corrupt. They've been confused by the war, and it's like they've become blind that their own soldiers they don't even know how they've been created properly. I mean, you find it out in the Clone Wars TV series that they find out that Dooku created them, and they still turn a blind eye to it because they're so fixated on ending.
I think that's great as well, that the good guys aren't perfect.
No.
And I think in the new movies that was a problem, because Rey was just so perfect and she had nothing wrong with her. But the Jedi in this film, they've all got flaws.
Yeah.
The whole Jedi Council is it's not a lovely place. We see them rejecting Anakin for virtually no reason. And obviously he became Darth Vader, but they had no reason to reject him the name of a Jedi Master. So it just shows how they're not actually great, and maybe brings some questions of like, what is the Empire the good guys? Is the Jedi the good guys? And I think it's just so clever. And just the ending, I've already said it, the ending with Anakin's betrayal, you see all the planets like Kashyyyk. It's just great. And I think the one scene that I love is when Yoda jumps up and just takes off those 2 clones' heads, just clean off. It's so satisfying.
No, it's really good. I must admit, this film it's so underrated. It really is.
It's so underrated.
But anyway, we'll get to talk about our film again in a minute. But I'm going to put number 4 as the true ending to the Star Wars saga, and that is Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, it is the true ending.
Yeah, it is. I mean, hey, anyway, I don't want to get into that debate, actually, because I can already see the comments flooding.
I think we've already said enough for the comments.
Yeah, I'm already sure we're going to get a load of hate on this for our comments. But you know what? I don't care, because it's my opinion.
Yeah, it's our opinion. We respect yours, you respect ours. That's how it works.
Anyway, we're probably right. But anyway, look, this film's great. I love it. It's one of the 3 originals. It's pretty much a masterpiece, I'd say. I think it really
is.
Issues with the film, Ewoks taking down a load of stormtroopers so easily.
That's great. That is so great. I love the Ewoks.
I know that George Lucas originally wanted to use Wookiees. I'm not entirely sure why, actually, they ended up using Ewoks instead of creating the characters of the Ewoks and using them instead. So I'm not 100% on board with that, although I do love the ending, how you've got Luke in the throne room, and then you've got this crazy space battle going on. You've got the battle on Endor itself going on. I love all these. There's so much at stake, and there's so much going on. And it feels so grand and rich, and I love it.
It does. Yeah, it does.
I love
there's such high stakes. It feels like the galaxy's, at stake. If Luke doesn't make the right decision, the whole galaxy's gone. I thought it was great. It really is. It really was.
I love seeing the dirty, disgusting world of Tatooine, like with Jabba's palace. You get to see these real thugs and criminals, pirates and bounty hunters in there, and it feels disgusting and horrible, and some of it's hard to watch, but I think that speaks as to how well it's made. It feels great. It feels very alien, and I love it. I think it's fantastic.
It is. I love the movie. It's a lot of, I'll say more about it when I talk about Return of the Jedi, but a lot of people hate the Ewoks. I don't understand that. I think they're cute. Yeah, they're just so funny, and it brings a light-hearted element to the movie that I think was needed. And they, in my opinion, were funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's not much humor in Star Wars that works, but for me, the Ewoks worked completely, and I still do probably think they are the cutest thing in Star Wars. Them or Baby Yoda, I don't know who, but they're great. They're cute, they're funny. The Battle on Endor was nice as well. But I do think that the Battle on Endor was the thing that everyone was like, I don't really care about this. I want to watch the space battles. I want to watch Darth Vader versus Luke. But the Endor thing, there wasn't much stakes there, but it's a great movie. I think everyone loves it as the ending. It ties the two movies together. It respects the characters. It's so good. It's such a great ending. It's so satisfying. Every time I watch it, it's just great to see. It's just great to see the Empire being restored, the Ewoks, just everything is so good.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a really nice ending to the franchise.
It is.
It is the best way to do it. But
and I think it's so hard to end a trilogy. This trilogy was so hard to end, and I think the end product we got was quite honestly perfect in terms of what could have gone wrong. I mean, this movie could have been terrible. We've seen that with Rise of Skywalker. We've seen that with loads of other endings to trilogies. You know, the trilogy is just two great films. Just like with Godfather. The third movie didn't work at all for me. And I think as an ending, it wasn't perfect. There were a few flaws in it, but it could have been so much worse. It could have been terrible. Yeah, what we got was great. What we got was a really good end product.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
Yeah. So, talking of Return of the Jedi, my third favourite Star Wars film is Return of the Jedi. This used to be my favourite Star Wars film as a kid. I think it is probably the easiest to watch of the originals. I love the Ewoks. I think the Battle on Endor at the end, as I've already said, the stakes weren't too high in that compared to, the Darth Vader Luke, and then you got the space battle for the second Death Star. But yeah, it's just great. It is so satisfying. I love the characters. All the characters feel very respected, yet they're developed as well. I think you've said everything I need to say. It's just so satisfying. I love the score. I love the characters. I love it. The movie also looks really good. I actually do like the change George Lucas made of bringing Hayden Christensen in at the end. I thought that was nice. And I can understand if you hate the prequels, you probably don't want to see him. But I thought that was great. And I think the ending is lovely. It's lighthearted. Was it too lighthearted? Maybe. I don't know if the Ewoks were a mistake. I personally love them. I think as a kid, watching the Ewoks was great. But yeah, it's just such a satisfying end. And I think it is just a movie filled with satisfaction. And it worked. It worked completely.
No, I completely agree. I really do. I think it's a very satisfying ending. I think is the best.
It really is. It's so satisfying. It's so satisfying.
Well, for me, we're on number 3 now, aren't we?
This is your number 3.
My third favourite is Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. This is my favourite film as a kid. I am partially biased, I'll admit, but I love this movie. I think it works so well. There's a 10-minute section about half an hour in where there's a lot of horrible lines between Anakin and Padme. Take that out, and really there isn't much bad stuff in here. There are some things which are so hilarious that the hello there part, fantastic.
Oh, it's blooming great. That's one of the best Star Wars lines ever.
It's so unpractical and so terrible. Like there are close-ups on Obi-Wan's face, like where the screen is just here, where he says that line where he's like, "Oh, I don't think so," and it's like the camera work is so bad, it's brilliant.
I thought also the start with Count Dooku when he's like, "Jedi's are our speciality." I thought that was also a really great line.
There are some fantastic one-liners in this movie. The dialogue is not great, but it's kind of got some really weird moments. It's brilliant. I think the effects in this film are huge.
They really are. They are.
George Lucas almost discovered how to be a much better director. The opera scene with him and the Chancellor, Anakin
Darth Plagueis.
Amazing. The shot where Anakin's in the council chamber, the council meeting room, Padme's in her, hotel, her flat room where she lives with Anakin or whatever, and they're both just looking out the window at each other. Gorgeous, beautiful filmmaking.
It was.
The Order 66 part is one of my favourite moments of Star Wars ever. The score.
Yeah, it is. It is. Anakin's betrayal. I've listened to that. Yeah. Oh, it's such a good score. And it's not got a vinyl. So annoying. I wish it had a vinyl because I would buy it instantly. It's so emotional, the Order 66 scene. And seeing all those Jedi get murdered is so sad. Yeah. It is so sad.
No, it's so well it's so well filmed. I love it. I love the opening of the film with the chase above Coruscant in their ships. I think it's so well made.
That's great.
Apparently Spielberg helped with that, which I can really see. Love Grievous. Grievous is a fantastic addition to the Star Wars universe. I don't get the hate towards him. I think he's a great villain. And then the ending is, I love how when Padme's dying, Anakin is also dying and becoming Vader.
I think the one thing at the end that annoyed me was how Padme died. It didn't make much sense. She died of losing her will to live. But again, it's Star Wars. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. The ending is just so satisfying, and the only other gripe is when he shouts no. I think that was unneeded as well. We didn't need that. But seeing Darth Vader get born was just brilliant. And I think one of the best things, one of the most underrated things, is when the mask is going down. You see Anakin's face, and he's just, his eyes gleam up.
Yeah.
And you can see in his face the conflict. And obviously that conflict ended up saving the galaxy in Return of the Jedi. But it was just so clever how it was done. And I also thought that Obi-Wan picking up the lightsaber after the battle on Mustafar was also really clever, obviously then giving it to Luke. I just don't understand the hate of this movie. And as you've already said, it's a guilty pleasure. For me, the film doesn't have to be a guilty pleasure. It is a brilliant movie. And I'm always going to love Revenge of the Sith. I'm always going to love it. It doesn't need to be a guilty pleasure. It is just a great film. It is really good.
It is. It is. It's a shame that it gets chucked to the bottom of the barrel with the other two prequel films, because it's far superior to them two, and it's better than pretty much anything Disney's done in the film industry.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's great. And I think that the Disney films have made us appreciate this movie more. It's made me appreciate it more because, you know, it's a good end to the trilogy. And was it a great trilogy? No. The two other films aren't that great, but this movie is, in my opinion. This movie really was really, really good.
Yeah.
I
love this movie.
Yeah, and I think I'll show this movie to my kids, and I'm sure they'll love it because it's just, what's there not to like? I don't really understand the hate for it. I think it's great. So should we go into my number two?
Yes.
My number two is Rogue One. Now, I can see people, you know, getting angry at me because A New Hope is a better film than Rogue One, and it just is. It is a better movie. But the Scarif scene, the Darth Vader scene at the end, just the Darth Vader scenes during this film. This film is easily the best thing that Disney have put out. This or The Mandalorian, I'm not too sure which, but the way it ties into A New Hope was quite honestly perfect. It just did it so well. I think the score was great. I think the movie looked brilliant. I think the Scarif was a great planet. I can agree that the first act wasn't the best, but I don't think it was bad. I think I was, you know, tied into it. And, you know, as soon as they went to the Scarif, the movie just, you know, reaches the level of almost being one of my favorite films ever. Yeah. This is one of my favorite films of the last decade. I remember walking out of the cinema for the first time. I really felt like I just watched a Star Wars film, and that was a feeling that is so rare. And this is probably the only Disney Star Wars film I've walked out just being blown away by. As much as I enjoy The Force Awakens, it was predictable. This movie wasn't. It took risks. It elaborated on characters. Like you said, the characters, they weren't the best, but at the end of the day, they had to die. So I don't know would it have been a mistake if they made them so good that you're all connected to all of them and then they all just died. I don't know if that would have been. I don't know how that was. It was really hard to do, but it was great. I love K2SO. He's my favorite droid that Disney have put out as well. It is so much better than Solo. In terms of, you know, the Star Wars stories, movies, and this movie was needed. I think, you know, seeing where the plans came from, you know, the Scarif scene. I just adore Rogue One. Is one of my favorite movies of the last decade. Is probably one of my favorite films of all time as well. I just adore it. I just absolutely adore this movie.
Yeah, I can't criticize anything there. I think it's pretty amazing. I think it really
is. It is. And just seeing the Death Star at the end is just it's just brilliant. It is brilliant. And the Darth Vader scene at the end. Sorry.
No.
Probably my favorite Star Wars scene. You see the brutal and how scary Vader is, and it just I just love it.
It is amazing. That is an amazing scene. To be fair, I really pretty much agree with everything you said, other than I think my favorite Disney droid is BB-8.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I love BB-8, but he's almost ignored in the Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Yet K2SO was consistent in this movie. And his death was great. I thought his death was brilliant. How they handled his death, it was really good. You know, pay respect to his character. And I just thought the way they acquired the plans and, you know, the emotion and not seeing them kissing was really great as well. It was really, really good. But I absolutely adore Rogue One, and I always will. It's always going to be one of my favorite Star Wars films.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a great movie, definitely.
It is. It really is, and I think most people agree it's the best film Disney have put out. I don't know how you couldn't.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Well, my number two, I've got to say before I do this, these two, my number 1 and 2 flip flop all the time. I can't decide. So I've got Episode 4, A New Hope, and Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back left.
Yeah.
They're both they're not just my 2 favourite Star Wars films ever, they're my 2 favourite films ever. I love these 2 movies so much.
They are great.
But I'm going with Empire Strikes Back second.
Ah! What are you doing?
I think, you know, I'm almost talking about New Hope here, trying to say why I've put that number 1. I've put this one second because it's the best sequel ever made, I think. It's an incredible movie. It's it picks up really well. I love seeing Hoth and stuff. I think the twist at the end with Vader and Luke is probably the best twist ever in a film.
I would pay £1 million to see that twist in the cinema and just see everyone's reaction. It's one of the best twists in cinema history, definitely.
Because the thing is, it's such an iconic line, Luke, I am your father, that people know it's coming now who haven't already seen it. Yeah. But it's visually stunning. The characters, the development and the direction the characters go in is incredible. The visuals are stunning in this movie.
I don't know how it looks so good. I don't understand how it looks so good. It looks better than some of the films put out now.
Yeah, it really does. I don't know. This film is incredible. I love how it introduces little bits that are picked up by novels and stuff like. They just chuck in all these bounty hunters, which are just there to look cool in the film.
But that was great. That scene, that was great.
Yeah, because now there's like comics and there's episodes of the Clone Wars which feature Bosk, so you've got all this development on him. So I love the fact that they just tie characters in like that. It's really cool.
Yeah,
it ends on a great cliffhanger. The film is it's 10 out of 10. It's pretty perfect.
It is.
I can't find a single flaw with it. Yoda's amazing. Everything about this film is amazing.
Oh, it is. I think the one thing I wouldn't agree with you, I remember you just said that it's probably the best sequel made. It's probably this or The Godfather 2. I couldn't decide between them, but how did he make a movie that was so good on the back of such a great film? I just don't understand it. I just wish he did this with Attack of the Clones, because we see there's potential here, yet I don't understand how he came out with Attack of the Clones when he'd made Empire Strikes Back one of my favorite movies ever. I don't understand.
Fairness, he didn't direct Empire, I suppose.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, he wrote the film. I mean, so he was heavily involved.
The movie wouldn't exist without him. I mean, he's the centre man.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is.
So anyway, I don't really have much to say on the original 2 Star Wars films.
It's really hard because what can you say? What can you say that's not been said?
Exactly. Everyone's already said everything they need to say on the original 2 Star Wars films, and I think they're both pretty perfect. So I'm just going to be praising them. I've got nothing bad to say about them.
Yeah, I know. I think it's the same for most of the Star Wars movies. I think the prequels, most people have said everything about these films. It's different with Christopher Nolan, like we did on my channel. Everyone has different opinions of Nolan, but I think the Star Wars movies in general, the good things about the films and the bad things, I think everyone knows what they are, and everyone has problems with the same things. Like everyone has a problem with Jar Jar Binks. Everyone loves the "I'm your father" line. It's just hard to talk about them since they are so good, and so, like every Star Wars fan has said all of this stuff we've been saying it's great to see, but it's also great that people have different opinions on the films, like we have. Like A New Hope is your favorite now, obviously, and A New Hope is my 5th favorite. That's great, and I think the Star Wars community is one of the worst communities in terms of, you know, hating on other people for different opinions.
Yeah.
It's hard to see, you know, people sending the actor who played Rose death threats. And it's so negative because she had to delete all her social medias because of that. And I think we just need to respect other people's opinions. And if we do that, then the Star Wars community will be so much better, because at the moment it is quite toxic with the sequels, you know.
Yeah, I really look at the Star Wars community as having different types of communities inside it. I honestly find that the prequel fans are some of the best fans. They are. They just laugh at some of the lines and they take fun, and they have a great time with all the films.
The prequel fans are probably the best fans, because, you know, they're not perfectionists, and I think the original trilogy fans, I think both of us probably are. I don't know, the prequel fans always just seem to be the most fun, and they love the Clone Wars, they love the silly lines. But anyway, should we go to my number 1?
Yes.
I don't know. It is The Empire Strikes Back. as you saw when you said A New Hope, I was annoyed when you said A New Hope, because in my opinion, Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars film by a country mile, and I praise Rogue One so highly. I give Rogue One a 5 out of 5. I give probably 5 downwards. They're all 5 out of 5 films, but Empire Strikes Back is just sheer perfection. I don't understand how, you know, this film was made, and it is so good. I don't understand how it looks so good. The dialogue is so good, and I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah.
I just watch it. Every time I watch it, you know, I tear up. I'm Your Father is one of the best twists in cinema history. Probably Battle of the Sixth Sense. I don't know which is the best twist ever, but I don't know, what do I say? It's such a great film.
Yeah.
The characters are great. The Hoth scene is one of my favorite Star Wars scenes probably ever. I just love it. The characters are great. It looks great. The ships are great. The AT-ATs are just, everything is just so, every scene has just been played so many times, you know, in cinema. I just love it. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. It's so good.
I don't know. That's exactly how I feel about that. You know, my number one as well, which is A New Hope. I just think they're perfect films. I don't know what I can say that hasn't already been said.
Definitely.
I've got nothing negative to say about them.
It's so true. It is so true. And there are, I don't know, 5 downwards, I've been struggling with what to say, because I don't have many gripes with the movies. Even Revenge of the Sith, I personally don't have many problems with it. I just love Star Wars.
Yeah,
I just love it. I just absolutely love it.
Well, that's it. I mean, you know, my number one is A New Hope. You know, it's great. It started it. It made all these incredible characters. At no times does it feel like there's an unnecessary scene. You would have thought that when they were running about the Death Star, that would maybe be the end of it, because that was really exciting. And then they do this epic space battle. It's just a perfect movie for its time. It's so much better than anything else coming out.
It is amazing. I think as a film, I don't enjoy it as much as Return of the Jedi or Empire, but I feel bad putting it at 5 because it is the film that started off Star Wars. Just the vision, you know, from the Stormtroopers to Darth Vader to the Rebel Alliance. It's just, I don't know how this all came to George Lucas's head, and he is, as most people know, created one of the best franchises ever. And I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he's so creative. It's amazing. It was amazing.
It really is. Well, I think, you know, that pretty much sums up the video quite well. That, you know, how great Star Wars is. Even when it has its moments, like The Rise of Skywalker, where it just feels like a kick in the ball.
No, of course, yeah. But even with The Rise of Skywalker, I still watched the movie and kind of enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing lightsabers. I enjoyed seeing stormtroopers. I enjoyed seeing, you know, the emotion. I think it's, as bad as The Rise of Skywalker was, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because it's Star Wars, and surely because, you know, you see the title on the screen, Star Wars. It's just, it's amazing with the sound.
Yeah.
I think if you've not seen Star Wars, please go and watch it, because if you're not a sci-fi fan, it's nothing like, you know, your complicated sci-fi. It's nothing like Star Trek. It's just so enjoyable. And there's so many great films. There's so many great films in the Star Wars universe.
There are. It's something that I'd recommend to everyone. I know that there's probably not many people out there who haven't seen them, but to the people that have seen them, I just recommend keep exploring the Star Wars.
Like you said to me, read the books at the start when we were talking. Just read the books, watch the Clone Wars, watch Rebels, because there's so much to do. Play the games, play Fallen Order, play Battlefront. I mean, even play Force Unleashed. Force Unleashed was quite decent as well.
Yeah.
There's just so much to do, and I think we can both agree that it looks like Star Wars is going in the right direction with Taika Waititi making the next film.
Well,
we've got a Cassian series. We've got Mandalorian Season 2. It looks like there's a bright future for Star Wars, in my opinion.
And the novels are doing the High Republic now, so I'm hoping that we're going to see some more past stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully the films will be set in the past as well. I want Star Wars to keep going backwards.
Yeah, I think going backwards is the best, because there's, you know, the clones, you know, there's just so much potential. There is so much potential there.
Yeah.
I really agree with you there, yeah.
But I think that pretty much sums up this video.
Yeah, that wraps up the video. Yeah. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you for Moviebug for allowing me to be on the channel. Really appreciate it.
So I was just going to say thank you for being here. Everyone, there is a link to Blu View's channel in the description. Of course, we welcome your comments. I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with some of the stuff we've said. Star Wars
just keep being, just respect our opinions. We'll respect yours. Just don't leave dislikes, just put your list in the comments down below, and you just don't make it all heated, because on all my Star Wars rankings, I've got about 10 dislikes. So yeah, just.
I mean, opinions are opinions.
Definitely.
I've heard people call Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope trash before, and it's like, fair enough. I mean, I agree
it's their opinion. It's their opinion.
But anyway, that's it for this video, guys. As always, there's a link in the description to Blu View's channel. There's also a link in the description to all my, social media, if you want to go follow me on any of those bits and bobs. And we look forward to seeing you next time for another video. See you later, everyone. Bye bye.